Hello, good day everyone, and welcome to our presentation. Today we're going to discuss about the Bandura social learning theory and as well as the social cognitive theory. But before we go through with the discussion, let's try to find out who was the person behind this theory. So the person behind this theory was Albert Bandura. He was born in 1925 in Alberta, Canada, and he became interested in psychology while studying biological sciences at the University of British Columbia. Bandura graduated with a degree in psychology, and he continued his studies, and he was awarded a PhD in clinical psychology from the University of Iowa. He was elected as the president of the American Psychological Association in 1974, and he was awarded the Outstanding Lifetime Contribution to Psychology in 2004. In the 1960s, Bandura became known for his social learning theory, and his approach recognized reinforcement and the importance of observing, modeling, and imitating the emotional reactions, attitudes, and behaviors of others in learning. And in 1986, the social learning theory developed into the social cognitive theory, which incorporated the idea that learning takes place in a social context with the dynamic and reciprocal interaction of the person, environment, and behavior. In a cognitive context that considers past experiences that shape engagement in behavior. So because of this continuing research, Bandura became known among academics as the father of cognitive theory. So next is the introduction. Here we will try to discuss about the social learning theory and the social cognitive theory. We will try to compare and contrast these two theories were proposed by Mr. Bandura. So social learning theory, it is the original theory, while the social cognitive theory is the revised and the more developed version of social learning theory. Where in the social learning theory, um, it's this focuses the observation, imitation, and modeling. It's just that. While the social cognitive theory, there is the observation, imitation, and modeling, pero idinagdag ni Bandura dito is nagkaroon na ng understanding, predicting, and also changing in human behaviors. And also, according to Bandura, uh, may connection na yung person, environment, and the behavior. So, ang social cognitive theory is more detailed than the social learning theory. So now let's now proceed with the discussion about the social learning theory. And there are some basic concepts in social learning theory. But before we go there, let's try to think first our first experience we had with a bicycle. Paano nga ba tayo natutong magbike? And of course, hindi naman lahat is nagkaroon ng formal tutorial kung paano matuto magbike. But obviously, we really need someone to help us para matuto. And at first, we are really clueless about what to do with the bicycle. But when we saw someone or when we observe someone who is using this bike, we try to learn and we are trying to have an idea how to use this. So through observing, we are having a learnings. And when we try to experience the to ride the bicycle, we already knew something on how to use it. Nagkaroon na tayo ng idea kung para saan ba yung pedal and kung ano nga bang gagawin sa handle. So that's the concept of social learning theory wherein um, dyan na pumapasok yung observational learning wherein people can learn through observation. Second is the intrinsic reinforcement, wherein the mental states are important to learning, and the modeling process, wherein learning does not necessarily lead to behavioral change. Now, let's try to understand each concepts. So the first concept of the social learning theory is about the observational learning. And to demonstrate this observational learning, Bandura conducted the most famous Bowodal experiments, which actually changed the course of modern psychology. So ang Bowodal, it is a sort of like a rubber balloony toy with a rounded heavy bottom, and it is designed na kung saan kapag sinuntok mo or kapag tinamaan mo ito, it will falls over and it will probably springs back up. So sa experiment na ito, ang ginawa dito ni Bandura is that a number of children were tested in one room with an adult and a number of toys and a bubble. And the other remaining children were taken to another room na kung saan ang kasama naman nila, may kasama din silang adult. So, ang pagkakaiba ng dalawang adult na yun is that yung isang adult is that uh, ang pinakita niya sa mga bata is sinasaktan niya yung bobudal. And while the other adults is inignore niya lang ito. So the result of this experiment is that yung mga bata na kung saan na-witness nila yung adult na sinasaktan yung bobo doll is inimitate nila kung anong ginawa nung adult. While in the other room, wala lang kasi nga syempre wala naman ginawa yung adult dun sa isang bobo doll. So, dito sa result ng bobo doll experiment, parang dito na inopose or parang dinepart ni Bandura yung behaviorism na kung saan sinasabi dito is uh, all behavior is directed by reinforcement or rewards. So, dito sa Bobodal experiments, yung mga bata is um, ginagaya nila or ginagawa nila ang isang bagay kahit wala namang reinforcement or rewards na nakalagay. So, ginaya lang nila kung ano lang yung nakita nilang ginawa ng adult dun sa Bumudal. So, on this process, Bandura identifies three models dito sa observational learning. So, the three models of observational learning that Bandura identifies are the live model, the symbolic model, and the verbal instructional model. Wherein in the live model, it involves an actual individual demonstrating or acting out a behavior. Ang example nito is like yung sa in-example ko kanina about sa bicycle. So, kinailangan natin ng someone, ng totoong tao, para i-demonstrate at para tulungan tayong matuto kung paano mag-bike. Next is the symbolic model where it involves learning with the real or fictional characters displaying behaviors in books, films, television programs, or online media. So, example naman dito is that lahat ng mga nakikita natin or napapanood natin and nababasa natin through books, napapanood natin through films, TV, and most especially now, nauuso ngayon mga uh, yung mga nasa social media na kung saan kung ano yung mga characters na pinapakita nila is ini-imitate natin. So that's the symbolic model. And the lastly is the verbal instructional model where it involves the descriptions and explanations of a behavior. Ang example naman dito is coaching or teaching na kung saan through verbal, dinidiktahan nila tayo kung paano tayo matuto kung ano yung gagawin natin. So, yun naman yung verbal instructional model. The next concept in social learning theory is the intrinsic reinforcement, wherein sinasabi ni Bandura is that hindi lang external and environmental reinforcement ang nakakaapekto sa learning and behavior natin. Na kung saan din is nakakaapekto din ang sariling reinforcement natin sa ating learning and behavior. So intrinsic reinforcement is a form of internal reward such as pride, satisfaction, and a sense of accomplishment. So ang example nito is that um, yung nasa picture na nagpapakita na um, yung lalaki is that he is doing sport or he is doing football not because of the award or not because of something uh, award. He is doing this because he feel fulfilled and it's just for fun. So it's just his own satisfaction and it gives him the sense of accomplishment. And another example nito is that volunteering. So we are volunteering. It's not because it's our job or it's a requirements, but we are doing this because we are feel fulfilled and we are feel rewarded when we are doing this uh, things. And it's such a pride for us and it's such a satisfaction for us on doing something. So that's the intrinsic reinforcement. So the last concept in social learning theory is the modeling process, and there are four steps in this process. It is the attention, the retention, the motor reproduction, and the motivation. The first step in the modeling process is the attention, which means the mental focus or concentration, the willingness of the learner to observe and mimic the behavior of a model. So as a learner, we must really pay an attention to the model. Para para matuto tayo, we must exert an effort to focus sa pinapanood natin or sa ino-observe natin. Siyempre, it is for us to learn. Next step is the retention. This is how one can store the information learned and how much to be retained. So, as a learner, we are going to memorize whatever we observe from the model. So, we are trying to picture kung ano yung mga na-observe natin, kung ano yung mga behavior na nakita natin. We are trying to recall it and we are trying to practice it. Kaya dyan naman na pumapasok yung reproduction na kung saan we are trying to replicate what ever we have observed and we are trying to practice it. That's why meron tayo yung term na practice makes perfect. Kasi nga whatever we observe, whatever we saw, we are trying to practice it and we are trying to replicate it para matuto tayo. And the last steps in the modeling process is the motivation. One needs to be motivated enough to imitate the behavior that was modeled. So dito na pumapasok si reinforcement and punishment when it comes to motivation. So as a learner, we must know why we need to do these things. So kailangan ma-motivate tayo. Bakit nga ba natin i-imitate ito or bakit nga ba natin gagawin ang isang bagay na nakikita natin. So that's the concept of the modeling process. So now let's try to look at what is social cognitive theory talks about. And just like what I said a while ago, the social cognitive theory is the revised version, the more developed and more detailed version of the social learning theory. Wherein the social learning theory is just focuses the observation, the modeling, and the imitation. And here in the social cognitive theory, Bandura added the understanding, the predicting, and the changes in the behavior. So let's try to see some key features in this theory. So reciprocal determinism is the idea that people, their behavior, and their environment interacts dynamically. So according to Bandura, we, the people, and our environment and our behavior are interconnected. And people are the only partial products of their environment, meaning we are the one who is creating our beneficial environment. And then we are the one who controlling it. So by selecting our environment carefully, we can influence what we become. And Our choices are influenced by our beliefs as well as our capabilities. The next key features is the outcome expectations. Outcome expectation is refers to the anticipated consequences that a person has of their behavior. So meaning, whatever we observe, we are trying to think first. We are trying to understand what's going to be the outcome or what's going to be the consequences of whatever we observe. So by this, we are trying to learn something kahit na hindi pa natin actual na natututunan kung ano yung naobserbahan natin. Wherein we are just trying to figure it out kung okay ba, kung beneficial ba siya or not yung magiging outcomes ng behavior na nakikita natin. Next is the reinforcement. So reinforcement refers to the internal or external responses to a person's behavior that affect the likelihood of continuing or discontinuing the behavior. So we have three types of reinforcements according to Bandura. So there is the direct reinforcement, the vicarious reinforcement, and the self-reinforcement. Direct reinforcement is an individual watches a model and imitates the behavior. It is by reinforced or punished by some individual. So, ang example nito is sa isang classroom. So, nag-recite ka or yung isang bata is nag-recite and then the teacher gave something or the teacher gave something reward sa bata. So, meaning the environment itself yung nagre-reward sa atin or nagpa-punish sa atin whatever we did or whatever we do. Next, the vicarious reinforcement. It is the observer anticipates to receive a reward for behaving in a given way because someone else has been rewarded. Ang example naman dito is that yung isang tao is pinuri niya yung kasama mo. So, pinuri niya dahil may nagawa siyang maganda. So, for you, you are trying to imitating it kasi nga may reward yung kasama mo. So you wanted to be rewarded as well. So nare-reinforce tayo dahil nakakakita tayo ng someone na nare-reinforce din. Next is the self-reinforcement. It is the individual strives to meet personal standard and does not depend on or care about the reaction of others. Um, ang example naman dito is that you are doing something na ikaw mismo yung magre-reward ng sarili mo. So for example is that nakakuha ka ng mataas sa exam or nag-top notcher ka sa exam. So for you, you're going to treat yourself, you're going to give reward yourself. That's what we call the self-reinforcement. The next key features in social cognitive theory is the self-efficacy. Self-efficacy refers to the level of a person's confidence in their ability to successfully perform a behavior. It is influenced by a person's own capabilities as well as other individual and environmental factors. So, dito naman sa self-efficacy, this is our confidence na or believe nat parang paniniwala natin sa sarili natin na kaya nating gawin ang isang bagay. And the last key features in social cognitive theory is the self-regulation. The self-regulation refers to the process in which people control and direct their actions. It conceives of the individual as being goal-directed and actively involved in developing functional patterns of thinking and behaving in response to environmental conditions in order to attain a personal goal. So, dito naman sa self-regulation, ito yung feeling natin on how to control our emotions or how to control ourself, kung paano tayo mag-response sa ating environment and kung paano tayo mag-response sa mga sitwasyon. And there are three stages or processes when it comes to self-regulation. So first is the self-monitoring. That is the observing one's behavior, its effects, and its determinants. So dito sa self-monitoring, we are trying to check ourselves if we can do it, or uh, we are trying to see if we can do, or kung paano ba tayo magre-response doon sa isang bagay. Self and next, the self-judgment. It is evaluating one's behavior against personal standards, environmental circumstances, and the value of activities. Ang self-judgment naman is that we are trying to evaluate ourselves kung nasa standard ba natin yung gagawin nating bagay, kung kaya ba natin siyang gawin, or yun nga, kung nasa personal standard ba natin yung yung gagawin natin na na-o-observe natin sa ibang tao. The last process is the affective self-reaction. So it is the feelings about an outcome based on self-judgment and self-monitoring. So dito naman na pumapasok kung ano yung nararamdaman natin sa nagawa natin. Satisfied ba tayo? Okay lang ba na ginawa natin ito? Or motivated ba tayo na nagawa natin ito? So yun yung um, concept ng self-regulation sa social cognitive theory. And here are the educational implications of social learning theory and social cognitive theory. The teacher must promote effective modeling. The teachers must model appropriate behaviors. The teacher should help students set realistic expectations, self-regulation techniques. Teachers should expose the students to a variety of models, which is important to break down stereotypes. The students learn a great deal simply by observing others. Describe the consequences of behavior, and the student develop a sense of self-efficacy for students. So now let's proceed with the criticism of the social learning theory and the social cognitive theory. It ignores the biological states. This theory disregards the biological factors that may influence an individual's ability to learn and perform behaviors. And also it ignores the cultural differences, in which this theory was originally developed with a focus on Western cultures, and some say it doesn't adequately consider cultural differences. It also overemphasizes on external factors. Some say that the theory focuses too much on the external factors like observational learning and not enough on internal cognitive processes and emotions. It also doesn't account for the developmental milestone. So this theory doesn't consider the developmental milestone in which typically occur regardless of the environment. It also oversimplifies the human behavior. Others argue that the theory oversimplifies the complexity of human behavior and cognition. And lastly, it is difficult to test. It can be difficult to test because of the ethical issues like the Pobodal experiments. And lastly, the conclusion. So this theory certainly has its place in our education system and offers us a greater understanding of the way our students learn. However, it is also important for teachers to be aware that if strategies are not implemented correctly or are used inconsistently, they are unlikely to be effective. This theory shows us that observation plays an important role in shaping the knowledge, behavior, and attitudes of the students. For this reason, teachers need to be excellent role models and ensure they are being inclusive, inspiring, and compassionate towards their students. And despite of all the criticisms, Bandura's theory has contributed to the understanding how individuals learn from their social environment. And that's all about the Bandura's social learning theory and the social cognitive theory. Thank you for listening, and I hope that you gain some knowledge from me. Thank you, much love, and God bless. Goodbye.